Hello everybody, we are back live from, well, we're not live actually, we are on the VeeamON floor of 2019. We are in sunny Miami, Florida. The beach is right around the corner.
Amen.
And I am hanging out with John with NetApp. And John, what brings you down to the booth today?
Well, I'm here to obviously support what our partners are doing in market with customers. This is an event that we've been to for many years already, since its inception. And the growth of this event has been absolutely monumental, akin to what I've seen in other parts of the market with hyper growth companies. We've been a partner with Veeam for many years, and because we have a common ambition of distinguishing ourselves, serving customers, protecting their data, we have to show up here in force. And we have 20, 30 people that have been running around this place all week.
That is a serious force for a conference of this size. Now, Veeam just passed $1 billion, they said, in annual bookings. So Veeam is clearly on a nice growth trajectory. I think we could all agree to that. How does NetApp fit into the Veeam equation?
Right. So best of breed technology companies tend to find one another.
Sure.
And so we are a 27-year-old public company. We've been in the data management business for that entire period of time. We're a firm that has gotten really good at chasing toward customers' danger points, meaning innovating toward the biggest issues that they're facing.
Okay.
Examples of this, include the virtualization environment and that craze that went on shortly after the tournament. Exactly. And when innovation causes less of hardware infrastructure to be required, that represents kind of a threat to infrastructure companies. And at that point in time, the demise of NetApp was predicted by many, many people. But in fact, because we were a best-of-breed technology company, it turned out that our infrastructure worked better in virtualized environments than any other. And so we actually were on a growth tear during a period of time where market trends were operating potentially against us. About 7 years ago, we faced ourselves with a situation where customers increasingly were telling us, John, we love what you do. We love consuming your stuff for data management, but we're just not going to consume it the way you've been presenting it to us for the past 20 years. We had to come up with a different way of representing our value and making sure that it manifests in new ways for customers. So enter the cloud.
Sure.
And so over this 7-year period of time, customers became more and more prolific at asking us to present our innovation different ways.
Okay.
And one of the ways that we've done that with Veeam in this case is we've gotten really, really good at managing, moving, sharing, and protecting data literally through software. Veeam is best in class at orchestrating data protection workloads.
Gotcha.
And so, whereas in the past, most data protection solutions were all about capturing copies of data and leaving them dormant just in case they were needed. Veeam took a totally different approach. They look at active backups as being valuable to the business regardless of when the backups are taken, right? So, with the convergence of NetApp being a prolific mover and manager of data, and Veeam being a great orchestrator of copies of data, here we come together as a solution for customers that, in the face of a re-emerging need around data protection, is really back in vogue. And so at this time, we're in the process of relaunching our relationship with Veeam, a great relationship in its own right over the last 3 years, but relaunching our relationship with Veeam under the moniker of data protection for the data fabric. And that the data fabric implies data centers that are private, on-prem, and data centers that are more virtual, leveraging hyperscale technology. So that's effectively, the quick story about how we've emerged as a premier partner of Veeam's.
So we're sort of in an evolution again. We have on-premises, we have cloud, but a lot of people are in this hybrid model. And so how do you all fit into that? I mean, everybody thinks that the cloud is the future. I would hedge a little bit against that and say I would say probably hybrid is very much the future. How do you all fit into that scenario?
Well, it's a great question, Brad, because it turns out that we've over 27 years become a company that has concluded that if you listen to customers and do what they want you to do, things tend to work out okay.
What a novel idea.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's really.
So, it's customers that have led us to, hybrid is absolutely the target of innovation. Interestingly enough, in the last 5 years, we have a mandate inside our company that says you're not allowed to innovate anything unless you have cloud in mind before you start the innovation.
Okay.
So it requires our engineers and developers to think differently about the products they're going to bring to market. And so when you think about it, with a cloud-first mentality, we're really good at doing on-prem stuff. We've been doing that for a long, long time. But when you shift the way of thinking around innovation to this has got to be cloud ready, you're immediately ready to solve this hybrid request that comes from customers, right? So most of what we've done in terms of innovating toward cloud ready has been software only.
Gotcha.
And so Veeam, as a preeminent software company, has realized too, as they've grown to $1 billion, that their customers are expecting more and more of them every day. And it wasn't enough, as Ratmir suggested on stage, it wasn't enough to be a really great orchestration tool for copy data management.
Yeah.
They had to be aware and innovate toward all of the other options that customers are asking of them. And the NetApp partnership actually accelerates their time to relevance in and around the cloud, because our data management software eases the process of data management when you consider the hybrid model.
And when you talk about data management, can you talk about scale for a minute? Because where does that come into play? Is that like the SMB, enterprise, mid-grade? Where does that come into play?
Yeah, well, probably goes beyond the scope of this quick discussion, but I would tell you, name an industry, and the captain of that industry is a customer of NetApp.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Well, that is a big claim.
Yes.
I like it. I like it though. You take a stance.
That said,
sure.
We are asked by our customers to operate between the mundane and the marvelous every day. Right. So if you're a multi-billion-dollar global organization, we're asked to do some pretty benign things around data management that are really more like watching green lights blink, as opposed to putting data in the hands of business people so that they can improve their competitiveness.
Sure.
Both of those are really important. We take both of those jobs very seriously, but we're asked to do both every day. So, at scale, I would tell you that, our last customer is always a little bit more important than our next.
Sure.
Number one. But as we go and capture new customer workloads, we got to be prepared to scale to the very largest levels of data management, both in terms of performance and capacity. But we also need to be reminded that Joe's Pickle Store sometimes needs our help. And with Veeam, we believe we can scale to meet both.
Gotcha. So talking about data management, I got to ask the large question: security, right? If you're working with people's data, they're going to be concerned about intrusions, ransomware, and all that good stuff. How do you all play into that?
Well, I typically, my job is to kind of tell stories for a living. And so I often do that through the eyes of our customers. And when you consider the application of NetApp technology, one of the largest segments we serve is the U.S. public sector marketplace, and intel and defense operations in particular.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that is it's sensitive information.
Absolutely.
That needs to be in the hands of the people who are trying to do good every day and protect our freedom and rights. And delivery of that without fail is a requirement. So not only delivery in a performant way, but delivery in a secure way.
Exactly.
And so we're challenged in that regard every day. And so, this operating system that we've created, it's called ONTAP, that runs most of our storage devices. We describe it, or it has been described as a digital masterpiece. It's 20 million lines of code that, frankly, has been iterated upon and improved for the last 27 years. So when we, for example, sit down and talk about data management with the hyperscalers, Amazon and Microsoft and Google Cloud, they very quickly understand that while it's probably not beyond them intellectually to create something like what we've created, there's no commercial reason to do so. And so partnering with us is a way better way to serve their customers today, and that's why we have partnerships with all three of the hyperscalers in the data management realm. Now, Veeam is not isolated from serving their customers in the cloud also. And to the extent they can leverage our relationship with the hyperscalers to extend data management to the data fabric, it's a win for both organizations.
Gotcha. So if somebody's new and they want to onboard with you guys, can you walk us through that process about how new customer acquisition happens?
Yeah. So a lot of ways. Obviously, creating brand identity at NetApp is an important thing to us, and so we have largely been recognized as the data authority in the hybrid cloud world. You know, quick moniker for everyone that's listening. I'd ask anyone to challenge us to prove that. So we do a bunch of awareness building through digital marketing and active email and so forth campaigns. Sure. We also are a company that does 80% of our business through a channel partner.
Okay, gotcha.
So we absolutely become more pronounced in the marketplace because while we employ 11,000 people, we have hundreds of thousands of active agents and partners in market that we spend hundreds of millions of dollars a year enabling so that they can tell the story of NetApp. So in terms of creating demand, with a partner like Veeam, for example, this is an organization, if you heard Ratmir on stage, they enjoy about 4,000 new customers a month.
Which is incredible.
It's a staggering number. So in many ways, we think that Veeam has forgotten more about acquiring new customers than we even have learned. And so it's something that they bring to the party and our relationship, much like our other partners. And so we at the end of the day, we build awareness and we build opportunity the old-fashioned way. We go out and visit with customers. We do it either direct to customer or through a partner, and we show up with a mindset around discovery, not pushing a product down somebody's throat.
Gotcha.
So, starting with discovery and evaluating what business ambitions those organizations might have, it very easily bridges to some of the enabling technology we have in our portfolio. And then once we have common ground on a business problem and how we might solve it, the kind of rest comes together through just the athleticism of our field force.
Athleticism of the field force. I like that.
Yeah,
I like
you can use it.
Yeah, I might. I might. And so if people want to learn more about yourself or what you guys are doing, what's the best way to reach you?
Well, online is obviously the best way to start, and you need only Google www.netapp.com and you can get started. And not only started on building an awareness of our innovation agenda, but building an awareness of the equally valuable element of our go-to-market, which is our partner community.
Gotcha.
And you'll see that we have partners that resell, that distribute, and other partners that make better the NetApp technology for specific application in certain industries. So I'd say online, and from online you can very rapidly get to a NetApp customer support person or a NetApp sales rep in the field, or a partner that might be more suitable for those requirements.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, John, we very much appreciate your time stopping by, and to everybody else watching, we'll include a link to make it a little bit easier to find their website. And that about wraps it up for today, folks. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll catch everyone else right back here next time on the Petri Dish.
Happy data protection.